When it comes to life or death situations, there's no room for gear that fails. And that's why this blade earned the trust of the most elite warriors on Earth. Special forces don't just carry a knife. They carry a weapon forged through fire, refined by combat, and proven on missions that never make the headlines. This isn't your grandpa's hunting knife. This is the blade chosen by men sent behind enemy lines, with zero backup and no margin for error. From close-quarter combat to survival in the harshest terrain, this knife became more than just a tool. It became an extension of the operator's will to survive. Today, we're breaking down why this specific blade became the most trusted knife in Special Forces history, and why it's still being carried in silent battles across the world. Yeah, the voice is dubbed, but the gear is real, the intel is solid, and if you're here to complain instead of prepare, you're already behind. Let's start with its origin. Born out of necessity during Black Ops in the early 2000s, this knife wasn't designed in a boardroom. It was shaped by feedback from men who knew what failure meant. SEALs, Green Berets, Force Recon. They demanded a blade that wouldn't chip, wouldn't rust, wouldn't slip. The answer? A full-tang 1095 high carbon steel monster with a tanto point and non-reflective black coating. The result was the ESEE-5, a knife built like a tank, but balanced like a scalpel. Designed for brutal conditions, with a grip that locks into the hand even in blood, mud, or freezing rain. This wasn't about looking cool. It was about coming home alive. Every feature was field-tested, from the jimping on the spine to the glass breaker at the pommel. This is what trust looks like. In steel dot, compared to standard issue knives, and the difference is brutal. While many military blades are mass-produced compromises, this knife was battle-born. Unlike folding knives with moving parts that can fail, this one is full-tang, meaning the steel runs through the handle from tip to butt. That makes it virtually indestructible. In fact, Special Forces operators have used this knife to smash through windshields, pry open ammo crates, and baton through logs to build fires during covert survival situations. It doesn't just cut, it dominates. And while some knives struggle with edge retention under abuse, this one sharpens easily in the field and holds its edge through days of punishment. In a gear review by ex-Green Beret Mike Glover, he said this knife is one of the only tools he'd carry into a real SHTF scenario. That's trust earned. Here's one story that says it all. In 2013, a Special Forces team was operating deep in the mountains of northern Afghanistan. One operator was separated from the unit during a firefight. He took cover in a rocky ravine, wounded, low on supplies, and completely cut off. For 48 hours, he used this very blade to create fire, process wood, cut through a collapsed shelter, and defend himself in the dark. He later said, "I had 3 things with me: my sidearm, this knife, and my training. Only one of them saved my life more than once." Stories like that aren't found in brochures. They're passed quietly, from one warrior to the next. And they're why this blade earned a place on the belt of America's best, not because of marketing, but because it worked when nothing else did. Now let's look at the competition. The legendary Kabar, the Gerber StrongArm, the Cold Steel SRK each has a fan base and a legacy. The C-Bar is iconic from World War II, no doubt. The StrongArm is budget-friendly and dependable. The SRK shines in coastal environments. But when it comes to raw field versatility and abuse endurance, this knife still rises to the top. It may not be as sleek or lightweight, but its strength, edge control, and grip under stress outperform most blades in real-world tests. And unlike knives built for show, this one was built for war. Side by side in a torture test, smashing, cutting, stabbing. Prying this knife walked away functional, while others needed repairs. That's the difference between designed for deployment and designed for display. And it's not just the blade. It's the sheath, the carry system, and the modularity. MAL compatible, ambidextrous, designed to stay secure even while jumping. From aircraft or crawling through mud. Special Forces gear is mission dependent. That means adaptability is everything. A tool that fails to integrate slows down the operator. This knife doesn't. Whether it's strapped to the chest rig, mounted, to a thigh panel, or clipped horizontally on the belt, it stays in place and ready. The retention system is silent and reliable. No rattling. No fumbling, just draw and go. And when seconds count, that's not a luxury, that's survival. When this knife was issued, operators stopped carrying backups. That's how much they trusted it. Trust wasn't built in the showroom. It was built in Iraq, Syria, and Africa. In jungles soaked with humidity, in deserts choking with sand, in snow-covered forests where steel snaps from cold. This knife kept going. In real-world missions, some that will never be declassified, it cut restraints, sliced fabric, opened MREs, carved improvised weapons, and yes, even defended its wielder in silence. That kind of performance builds a legacy. Veteran-owned. Companies like Fieldcraft Survival and Sheepdog Response use this model to teach knife skills in real-world courses. It's more than gear. It's heritage. And when men who face death speak highly of a blade, you listen. But here's where this gets even more real. It's not just for warfighters anymore. Preppers, outdoorsmen, truckers, and even ranchers are carrying this knife across America. Why? Because it's one tool that does everything. It rides in bug-out bags, under vehicle seats, in go kits, and home defense loadouts. When civilians started asking, "What's the one knife I need if things go south?" this was the top. Answer: it's not tactical cosplay. It's functional, field-proven, and trusted by those who actually live off-grid or prepare for grid-down scenarios. It's being used to butcher game, cut seatbelts, defend property, and in some cases, passed from father to son as the go-to blade for hard times. But let's be honest, not every tactical knife deserves the title. The market's flooded with flashy blades with jagged edges, glassy finishes, and hollow promises. They look cool on Instagram, but fold under real pressure. That's the difference. This knife was never meant for likes. It was made for life. If you've ever held a gas station special next to this blade, the weight alone tells the story. No gimmicks. No marketing fluff. Just high-carbon steel, a no-slip grip, and decades of operator feedback refined into one tool. In fact, many experienced users say, if your knife needs to look aggressive to feel effective, it probably isn't. Would you trust this knife if your life was on the line? That's the real question. In a world flooded with gear that fails when it matters most, this blade stands alone. It's not the cheapest. It's not the lightest. But it might just be the last knife you'll ever need. When you grip it, you feel it balance, strength, readiness. Drop it in the snow, drag it through the mud, soak it in salt water, it keeps going. And the fact that civilians can now carry a tool once reserved for the elite, that's rare. So if you're building your own loadout, prepping for hard times, or just want a blade you can stake your life on, this is the one that deserves your belt loop. But here's the kicker. This isn't the end of the story. There's a new generation of combat blades quietly taking over. Lighter, more precise, forged from exotic steels with advanced coatings and next-gen ergonomics. Some are already being carried by Tier 1 units. In the next video, we'll reveal the knife that might dethrone this legend and why it's getting deployed in modern missions right now. If this blade impressed you, wait until you see what the future of tactical survival looks like, because the next evolution of military knives might change everything you thought you knew about combat. Steel,